Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The world will drain you dry, not because it hates you, but because it doesn't even notice you're bleeding. Ever felt like you're running on 2% battery while the world expects 100% performance? Like you're quietly drowning in a sea of noise, smiling politely while your soul files for resignation? Well, here's a cold, hard fact they don't put on motivational posters. The modern man, especially the Sigma male, isn't exhausted from doing too much. He's exhausted from carrying what no one else even sees. Society loves to preach hustle harder to alpha males and submit quietly to betas. But Sigma males, you're expected to fix yourself in silence, to be independent, detached, and laser-focused. All while the world keeps throwing nonsense your way like spam emails you can't unsubscribe from. And let's be honest, you tried taking breaks, you tried meditating, maybe you even tried yoga. All it did was make you a tired guy who can stretch now. But what's really draining you isn't physical exhaustion. It's the psychological warfare of living in a world that misunderstands your wiring, and worse, doesn't care to understand. So why do Sigma males feel so unmotivated, so drained, and so done? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will peel back the layers of your exhaustion and show you truths most people don't even have the courage to admit to themselves. This isn't another just take a vacation speech. This is war, and your enemy is invisible. Number 1, you can't stand motivation culture because it's built for sheep. Wake up at 5 a.m., grind harder, hustle till you drop. That's what they tell you. Every book, every YouTube guru, every so-called motivational page spits out the same recycled slogans. But let's be honest, deep down, you're not just unmoved by it, you're irritated. Because it feels like the world's trying to force-feed you advice designed for people who need external instructions just to function. Sigma males don't operate on someone else's command. You don't need a stranger screaming, "You got this," through your headphones to take action. You need truth, not noise. The motivational industry has become a circus. Loud voices telling lost people how to be louder, not smarter. They glorify constant hustle without ever explaining why. They tell you to chase goals they can't even define for themselves. And here you are, quietly observing it all, wondering if the whole world has lost its mind. Sigma males don't get fueled by fake positivity. If anything, shallow hype drains you faster than actual work. You crave clarity, not cheerleading. What they call motivation, you call manipulation. It's a system designed to keep people running on a treadmill they can't get off, confusing busyness with purpose. You don't need 5 a.m. alarms and ice-cold showers to feel alive. You need meaning behind your actions. When there's no meaning, no deeper strategy, no personal freedom in what you're doing, your mind rejects it. That's not laziness. That's intelligence refusing to serve stupidity. And let's not forget, most motivational content assumes you're broken and need fixing. That if you're tired, it's because you're weak. But Sigma males are tired because they're carrying the weight of their own vision. They're drained because they see through the emptiness of modern life and refuse to participate in its charade. Motivation culture insults your mind because it's built for the masses, not the rare individuals who already hold themselves accountable. You're not exhausted because you're lazy. You're exhausted because you're self-sufficient in a world that profits off your dependence. And the more you hear empty slogans, the more you realize the strongest motivation is the one that doesn't need to be spoken. Number 2, you're running on silent rage, and that battery dies fast. You walk through life calm, collected, maybe even cold. People think you've figured it all out. But what they don't see is the storm beneath the silence. You're not as detached as they think. You're just controlled. Because underneath that quiet exterior is a slow-burning anger that nobody talks about. You're angry at how shallow the world is, angry at yourself for wasting time in places with people, in situations that didn't deserve your energy, angry at the lies leaders sell to the masses, calling it truth, and most of all, angry that you still have to play this game even though you see right through it. But rage is tricky when you're a Sigma male. You don't explode, you don't throw tantrums, you internalize it, you weaponize it. That rage becomes your fuel. It sharpens your focus, makes your moves precise, makes your work relentless. It keeps you going when your motivation dies. While others run on dopamine and applause, you run on quiet fury. But here's the brutal truth. No matter how efficient silent rage feels, it's a battery with a limited charge. Anger burns fast and burns dirty. It pushes you, but it also poisons you. Over time, that unspoken fury turns to fatigue. Mental fatigue, emotional deadness, even physical burnout. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from carrying anger with no outlet. You tell yourself it's fine, that you're built to carry it. And maybe you are, for a while. But sooner or later, carrying silent rage turns you into someone you don't recognize. Numb, cold, drained, detached from everything that once gave your life meaning. That's the real danger. People think Sigma males are mysterious by nature. No. Sometimes they're just too tired of explaining the war happening in their head. A war between their ideals and the reality they're forced to survive in. You're not unmotivated. You're burning out from fighting battles no one even knows you're fighting. The scary part, you're so good at hiding it, no one will notice when your battery finally dies. Number 3. You're starving in a world that only feeds the loud. You don't wake up craving applause. You don't want the spotlight. You don't post your every move online begging for validation. But here's the harsh truth. The world doesn't reward depth. It rewards noise. The loudest person in the room wins, even when they have nothing to say. And while you're out here building quietly, thinking deeply, perfecting your craft without broadcasting it, the world crowns clowns who mastered the art of shallow noise-making. That eats at you, whether you admit it or not. Because while you tell yourself you don't care, there's still a sting in watching mediocrity get celebrated while excellence goes unnoticed. It's not that you want fame, you want fairness. And this world isn't fair to the quiet ones. You grind, you sacrifice, you put in the unseen hours. But the system isn't built to notice people like you. It notices the loud, the exaggerated, the performers. It promotes whoever screams the hardest, not whoever thinks the sharpest. And that's exhausting in a way work will never be. It's like pouring your soul into something that no one will ever bother to look at because it doesn't flash neon signs or come with a catchy slogan. Meanwhile, someone with half your talent and none of your depth becomes the face of the movement. That burns. And so you start to feel invisible, not because you are, but because your silence is mistaken for absence. The world's too shallow to see what doesn't scream for attention. And the deeper you are, the more hidden you become in this circus of surface-level noise. So your exhaustion isn't from effort, it's from invisibility. From constantly feeling like a ghost watching fools get crowned kings. From knowing your value but seeing it ignored because it's not loud enough to trend. But here's what keeps you going. You don't build for applause. You build because it's who you are. And even if the world keeps feeding the loud, you'll stay starving with your integrity intact. That's the price of depth in a world addicted to noise, and some prices you'd rather pay in full. Number 4. Your inner world is overcrowded, but nobody knows. Most people have conversations to clear their minds. You have conversations in your mind that never end. You overthink not because you enjoy it, but because your brain refuses to sit still. Every scenario is analyzed, every word is weighed, every possibility is mapped out in advance. It's not worry, it's war. And you fight it alone. You're strategizing 12 steps ahead while the people around you are still figuring out step 1. You dissect people's motives, outcomes, and angles before they even speak. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. But the price of being this mentally sharp is that your mind never shuts off. And here's where the exhaustion creeps in. You never unload it. You rarely vent, rarely open up, rarely release the pressure. Not because you're trying to be mysterious, but because you've convinced yourself nobody could possibly understand. Or worse, that they'd judge you for having so much going on in your head. So you keep it bottled, layer after layer, year after year. On the outside, you look calm, controlled, focused. But inside, it's chaos. Endless files open, endless calculations running, endless conversations looping. No wonder you feel drained when you wake up. Your mind never clocked out in the first place. The world sees you as emotionally detached, but it's the opposite. You're emotionally overloaded. You've just trained yourself to carry it silently. And because nobody checks in, nobody sees it, nobody asks, the burden multiplies quietly. You're like a soldier fighting a war no one else knows exists. No backup, no reinforcements, no relief. And even when you win a battle in your mind, there's no one to celebrate it with. You just move on to the next fight. This is why your exhaustion feels deeper than burnout. It's not just physical fatigue, it's the mental bleeding from years of carrying thoughts you never release. Thoughts that build and build until they become a world too crowded to live in. And the cruel irony? The only person who can rescue you from it is you. Number 5. You see too much, and that's not a gift, it's a weight. You can't switch it off. Everywhere you go, you pick up on things most people either miss or deliberately ignore. You walk into a room and instantly feel the tension between two people pretending to like each other. You watch a leader speak and catch the subtle cracks in their confidence behind the rehearsed charisma. You see the power plays, the emotional baiting, the unspoken resentments, the hidden insecurities, all layered beneath what most call normal conversation. They call it emotional intelligence. They call it awareness. But let's be brutally honest, it's a burden, because the more you see, the less you can unsee. And what makes it worse? You're surrounded by people who either can't see it or don't want to. They're comfortable in denial while you're drowning in raw, unfiltered truth. It's like living life without sunglasses while everyone else walks around shielded. The light burns your eyes, but you can't look away. You process every nuance, every power shift, every manipulation tactic, as if your brain runs an operating system designed to detect human lies and weaknesses. And what does all this awareness give you? Not peace, not joy, just noise. Internal noise that keeps you mentally exhausted because your mind is working overtime just to keep up with all the data it's collecting. Most people only process what's directly in front of them. You process what's behind, beneath, and beyond it, constantly. Sometimes you wish you could be blissfully ignorant. Just laugh at the joke without analyzing why it was told. Just trust someone without feeling the cracks in their voice. But that's not your wiring. You see too much, and seeing too much distances you from people who live simpler mental lives. It's not that you want to be superior, it's that awareness isolates you. Because how do you explain to someone that what exhausts you isn't what's happening? It's what's hidden beneath what's happening. So no, your perception isn't some superhero gift. It's an unchosen responsibility. And carrying it every day is like holding a sword you never asked for, but can't put down without betraying yourself. Number 6. Your standards are so high, they've become a cage. You're not sitting still because you lack drive. You're sitting still because you refuse to move for anything less than exceptional. Most people call it procrastination. You know it's something else. Ruthless selectivity. If the task doesn't meet your personal standards no one else sees but you, your mind rejects it like bad code. You're not built to just do it for the sake of ticking a box. You move with purpose or you don't move at all. But here's the trap. Your standards, once a source of power, slowly became your prison. You've filtered out so much of the mediocre, the unnecessary, the superficial, that now everything feels beneath you. Even starting, even experimenting, even failing forward. What used to keep you sharp now keeps you frozen. You're not chasing perfection to impress anyone. You're doing it because anything less feels like lying to yourself. But the world doesn't operate on your level of refinement. It rewards action, even sloppy action. People who put out 70% effort are out there winning, while you're stuck analyzing how to deliver 110%. That's where the exhaustion creeps in. Not from overworking, but from overfiltering what's worthy of your energy in the first place. There are days when you want to switch off the hyper standards, to just start without needing to optimize. But your brain rebels. You can't lower your standards without feeling like you're betraying your design. So instead you hesitate, you wait. You strategize endlessly until momentum dies and frustration replaces progress. And the cruel irony, the world doesn't even notice the difference. It can't tell whether your silence means you're perfecting your craft or paralyzed by it. It just sees someone who isn't moving. Your exhaustion isn't from a lack of ambition. It's from carrying the weight of perfection on your back in a world that doesn't even recognize it. You're not lazy. You're just unwilling to waste a single drop of energy on something that doesn't meet your internal definition of right. But sometimes even the sharpest sword needs to cut, not polish itself endlessly. Number 7. You're always in stealth mode, and that takes energy. You've spent so much time blending into the background that it's become second nature. You slip in and out of rooms without anyone noticing. You speak only when it matters. You avoid unnecessary noise, spotlight moments, and fake attention. To most, it looks like peace. To you, it feels like constant calculation, because living in stealth mode isn't effortless. It's exhausting. Every move you make is filtered. Every word measured. You're always calculating how not to be seen while still achieving what you want. That takes mental power most people will never understand. They burn energy chasing attention. You burn energy avoiding it. The truth is, living unseen comes at a cost. You may avoid judgment, but you also miss out on connection. You dodge chaos, but often sidestep opportunities. You protect your peace, but sometimes you suffocate your own presence. And slowly, your life becomes this quiet, cold efficiency where no one knows what you're truly capable of because you never let them see it. It's not that you don't want to be known. It's that you're tired of being misunderstood. You don't want applause for the wrong reasons. You don't want attention that dilutes your purpose. But somewhere along the line, hiding became habit. Now, even when it's safe to be seen, you hesitate, and the fatigue builds. It's not physical tiredness, it's soul fatigue, the kind that comes from wearing a mask of invisibility too long, from constantly editing yourself so you don't disrupt the noise of the world, from hiding in plain sight and calling it strength when sometimes it's survival. Most people recharge in the spotlight. You recharge in solitude, but even solitude turns empty when it becomes exile. Stealth mode was supposed to be your tactic, not your permanent state. But when you never take it off, it drains you dry. The paradox: the world respects what it sees, and the longer you stay hidden, the more it forgets you were ever there. That's the cost of invisibility. It protects you, but it also erases you. And erasure wears down even the strongest spirits over time. Number 8. You don't trust the ladder, so you built a maze. You saw the ladder early on, the corporate one, the social one, the popularity contest, and it disgusted you. Climbing it meant kissing the right hands, flattering fragile egos, and playing dumb while mediocrity rose. Sigma males don't do that. You won't fake loyalty, pretend admiration, or sell your soul for a title. You'd rather walk away than climb something crooked. But refusing the ladder doesn't mean you escape the struggle. It means you create your own system from scratch. No shortcuts, no sponsors, no mentors holding your hand. Just you, raw determination, and a long stretch of unknown terrain. What others inherited through connections, you carve through relentless trial and error. And let's be brutally honest. Sometimes it feels like a damn maze. You design a path that fits your values, your vision, your standards. But mazes aren't straight lines. They're filled with dead ends, frustrating loops, and stretches of isolation where it feels like no one else even exists, much less understands what you're doing. You're not just working harder, you're working alone, without applause, without recognition, and often without a clear sign that you're getting anywhere. And that wears on you. Because as much as you pride yourself on independence, there are moments when the silence of your path feels suffocating. It's not that you regret rejecting the ladder. It's that sometimes you wonder if the maze was worth the loneliness. You build your own systems, your own income streams, your own version of success. But at what personal cost? Meanwhile, you watch people less capable but more politically skilled rise faster, celebrated for playing the game you despise. That contrast eats at you. You don't envy them, you pity them. But it still stings when you see how the system rewards compliance over character. And yet, no matter how tired you get, you won't trade your maze for their ladder. Because the ladder may be quicker, but it comes with chains. Your maze is harder, but at least it's yours. The exhaustion is real, but so is the freedom. Still, freedom has a price, and most days, that price is your energy. Number 9. You're everyone's safe space, but no one knows your storm. You've become the person people turn to when their world falls apart. The steady hand, the calm voice, the one who listens without judgment and gives sharp, honest answers when no one else has the guts. To them, you're a rock, stable, unshakable. always in control, and for the most part, you play the part well. You've trained yourself to be unbothered on the outside, even when chaos screams inside your head. But here's the part they never see. You're not immune to storms, you just learn to fight them silently. While you're helping others untangle their mess, your own knots tighten deeper in your chest. You give them clarity while your own thoughts spiral in endless loops. They walk away lighter. You stay heavy. The truth is brutal. There are very few people, if any, that you trust enough to see you when you're falling apart. You've built this fortress of emotional self-sufficiency so well that no one thinks to ask, "Are you okay?" They assume you are. You always are. But you're not. You carry your own storms without complaint, without a shoulder to lean on, without anyone even realizing that behind your calm exterior there's noise, doubt, frustration, and sometimes loneliness that could swallow a weaker person whole. And let's be honest, it's partly your fault. You don't open up. Not because you're stubborn, but because experience taught you that most people wouldn't understand your battles anyway. So instead of risking being misunderstood or pitied, you lock it all inside, smile politely, numb out the noise, move on. But here's what nobody tells you about being everyone's safe space. It drains you dry. Not because you resent helping people, but because you desperately need what you give away. Someone steady enough to hold your chaos. Someone safe enough to see your cracks without trying to fix them. But you don't ask. You never ask. And so your silence becomes your prison. A beautiful, controlled, admirable prison. This is the hidden exhaustion of a Sigma male. Not the work, not the solitude, but the loneliness of carrying storms no one knows exist. And if you don't find a way to unload, one day the storm will burst, and no one will believe you were struggling in the first place. Number 10. You're in a war with mediocrity, and you're outnumbered. You wake up every day armed with vision, precision, and a hunger for something better. But step outside and it's like walking into a battlefield where mediocrity is not just tolerated, it's celebrated. People cut corners, praise half-finished work, and call laziness self-care. They chase the fastest route, not the best one. Meanwhile, you're grinding quietly, obsessed with doing it right, not just doing it fast. And the world looks at you like you're the problem for not lowering your standards. That disconnect eats away at you. Not because you think you're better than everyone else, but because you wonder how long you can keep going without becoming numb like them. You're fighting for quality in a culture that worships quantity. You're chasing mastery in a world that values virality. And let's be honest, sometimes you look around and wonder, why am I even bothering? You see people getting rewarded for doing the bare minimum, for repeating recycled ideas, for pretending to be something they're not. They play the game. You refuse to. And that refusal? It's a lonely road. Because the truth is, excellence has no crowd. Mediocrity has an army. And that army wears you down. Not because you fear them, but because you're tired of swimming against a current that never stops flowing the wrong way. You want to build things that last while the world is addicted to things that trend. You want depth, and they want noise. Over time, this constant battle drains your energy. Not because you're weak, but because holding on to your values in a world that doesn't value them is exhausting. You could sell out. You could cut corners. You could drop your standards and life would probably get easier. But you'd lose yourself, and that's a price you're not willing to pay. So you fight on, day after day, knowing you're outnumbered but refusing to surrender. But even the strongest warriors get tired when they're surrounded by mediocrity and still choose to stand tall. That's where your exhaustion comes from. It's not failure. It's the cost of refusing to settle. And while the battle rages on, the question remains, how long can one man fight a war the world doesn't even realize exists? Number 11. Your genius has no outlet. You're not wired to just punch in and punch out. Work for you isn't about a paycheck. It's about creating something that lasts, something that changes the game, something you can look at and say, I built this, and it means something. But try explaining that to people who only care about deadlines, checklists, and monthly targets. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. The people around you are playing small games. They're focused on what looks good now, what keeps the boss happy, what trends this week. Their goals expire every quarter. Your vision spans decades. And that mismatch, It's suffocating. Because while they're checking boxes to survive, you're out here trying to carve meaning out of your work, and there's no oxygen for that kind of fire in a world obsessed with the short term. Your genius feels trapped. You've got ideas no one wants to hear, solutions no one wants to risk trying, and strategies that require patience in a world allergic to waiting. So what happens? You shrink, you hold back. You silence your own brilliance because it feels wasted on an audience that can't appreciate it. And that kills your motivation faster than failure ever could. Sigma males don't burn out from effort, they burn out from stagnation. You can grind for years if it's for a worthy cause, but wasting your sharpest thoughts on small minds, that drains you to the bone. You're not lazy, you're starved. Starved of the right challenges, the right collaborators, the right environment that actually calls your genius forward instead of boxing it in. And the more you keep that brilliance caged, the more restless you become. At some point, your vision starts to feel like a curse instead of a gift. Because seeing what could be without the means to build it makes reality feel unbearably small. And you ask yourself quietly, how much longer can I sit here pretending this is enough? You don't want busy work. You don't want noise. You want legacy. But legacy requires space to build, and you're surrounded by people who only want to color inside the lines. That's why you feel drained, because your purpose is starving in a world that's too afraid to feed it. Number 12, you're not depressed, you're environmentally starved. They'll tell you you're burned out, depressed even. They'll try to fix you with therapy apps, mindfulness quotes, or team-building exercises under fluorescent lights. But here's the truth most people will never understand. You're not broken, you're displaced. You're a creature of clarity, silence, and purpose. But the modern world forces you into spaces that feel like cages, cubicles packed with buzzing lights and meaningless chatter, offices where small talk drowns out real conversation, crowds of people performing happiness instead of actually living it, shallow smiles, fake praise, constant noise. For most people, this is normal. For you, it's suffocation. Your energy doesn't die from effort. It dies from the wrong environment. Just like a lion in a circus, your strength doesn't disappear, it just has nowhere to go. You're allergic to artificial spaces that reward compliance over creativity. Places where busy work replaces vision, and where following the rules means killing your soul a little more each day. And so, you withdraw. Not because you're lazy or antisocial, but because your surroundings offer nothing that feeds your spirit. You're not built for crowded offices and corporate politics. You're wired for quiet focus, deep work, and environments that allow your thoughts to breathe. The modern hustle culture doesn't fit you because it's designed for people who need constant noise to drown out their emptiness. You crave silence, not because you're antisocial, but because silence lets you hear your own purpose again. But when you're trapped in environments that drain rather than inspire, exhaustion follows fast. You wake up tired, not because your life is hard, but because your surroundings are soul-starving. You're trying to plant roots in concrete and wondering why you're wilting. This isn't depression. This is environmental starvation. You're a Sigma male trapped in artificial spaces built for artificial people. The solution isn't more coffee, more hustle, or more fake positivity. The solution is space, mental, physical, and emotional, to build your life on your own terms. Until then, every day will feel like you're running on fumes in a world that was never built for your kind. So here's the brutal truth. No one tells Sigma males. You're not exhausted because you're weak. You're exhausted because you're carrying weights most people will never even notice. You're drained not by action, but by meaninglessness. Not by failure, but by a world too shallow to match your depth. While others sprint in circles chasing applause, you walk alone building legacies in silence. And that kind of path isn't just hard, it's lonely. You're fighting invisible wars, against mediocrity, against fake systems, against your own perfectionism and inner demons that never sleep. You're starving for environments where your genius breathes freely, not suffocates under noise and shortcuts. And the worst part? Most people will never see the storm inside you. They'll admire your calm, but never ask what it costs. They'll benefit from your clarity, but never offer you the same in return. That's the quiet tragedy of the Sigma male existence, being the backbone for others while no one holds yours. But in the end, this exhaustion means something. It means you're still fighting, still refusing to conform, still choosing meaning over comfort, legacy over noise, truth over trend. And while the world keeps feeding the loud and crowning the shallow, you'll keep carving your own path, harder, lonelier, but yours. Just know this, even the strongest need rest. Even the most self-reliant need space to unload. Your exhaustion doesn't make you broken, it makes you human. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop carrying everything alone. If this spoke to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what battles you're fighting. Smash that like button if you're done pretending everything's fine when it's not. Share this with someone who's carrying their own invisible war. And if you're built for more than this noisy, shallow world, subscribe to the channel. This space is for the ones who refuse to settle. Stay sharp, stay real. And above all, don't let the world's exhaustion drown your fire. If this message hit home for you, don't just scroll away in silence. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that actually gets it. No noise, no fluff, just raw truth. Like this video if you're tired of shallow advice and empty motivation. Drop a comment below and tell me what invisible battles you're fighting. I read everyone. And if you know someone who's burning out in silence, share this with them. Because this isn't just a video. It's a call to the few who refuse to play the shallow game. Stay sharp, stay awake, stay true to yourself.